A very warm welcome to this year's European Solar Diversity Champion Award. My name is Walburga Heimatsberger. I'm the CEO of Solar Power Europe, and I hope the sun is also shining where you are. We have a beautiful spring weather here today in Brussels. Particular welcome to the finalists of this year's Solar Diversity Champion Award. 3 extraordinary women from 3 extraordinary companies, and obviously the members of the jury. Before I introduce you all and before we get started, let me just explain shortly why we as Solar Power Europe are organizing these Diversity Champion Awards, and already for the 2nd year. The main reason is we want to bring visibility to the importance of diversity. And I will be very frank, we do it because we are very opportunistic. Our sector provides 360,000 jobs today. Solar is already today growing exponentially. We will soon be the #1 electricity source in Europe. That's not what we are saying, that's what the International Energy Agency is saying. And we will need to grow even faster, not the least to provide energy security, which has become unfortunately very obvious these days, and serve very much as a backbone of the energy system. By 2030, getting back to the jobs, by 2030, there will be more than 1 million jobs in our sector. So opportunities in many, many different areas. And I would really like to invite you to check out our Solarworks campaign, which we are running together with Google. We started it last year, where we are showing how many opportunities we have in terms of jobs in the sector, so with the growing job opportunities, but also in terms of how diverse the jobs are in our sector, and how diverse also we are in terms of diversity in a more narrow sense. Now, why are we opportunistic? Diversity has really very clear benefits for productivity. You're simply more creative, more innovative, and generally more successful with a diverse team. So gender equality alone could take EU GDP from 1.95 billion euros to 3.15 trillion by 2050, not billion, trillion, according to the European Institute for Gender Equality. So if you need to grow as rapidly as solar has to grow, you better have a diverse workforce. The good news is that in the energy sector, we as the renewables, as part of the renewable sector, are already doing much better than traditional sectors. So this is quite old figures already. So I hope we improved since, and I'm waiting for new studies to come up. But some years ago already, we had 32% of renewables of women in the renewable sector, as opposed to 22 in the more traditional sectors. But this is not enough, obviously, and that's why we're here today. Again, getting back to why we're doing all of that, because we want to bring more visibility to diversity, and hope that we will become even more diverse in our sector than we are already today. Now, let me introduce the distinguished jury, and thanks very much for taking on this role and joining us. Paula Abreu-Marques, Head of Unit Energy Policy, Strategy and Coordination in DG Energy. Paula, thanks very much for joining. And Joanna Torpe, Head of Talent Acquisition and Development at Sonedix, our last year's Diversity Award winner. We also had a 3rd jury member, Christine Linz. She's the Executive Director of the Global Women's Network for Energy Transition, but she was unfortunately not able to join us today. Paula, everyone knows you as a real passionate for renewables. You have been pushing a lot in your work for a favorable framework for renewables in the past years. But what maybe not everyone knows is that you are also the founding mother of the equality platform of the energy sector. And Solar Power Europe is a very proud signatory of it. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more, for those who don't know the equality platform yet, what it is. You launched it a year ago, I remember, but maybe just to give a little bit more info to those who don't know it yet and who should become signatories and follow your activities.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes? You hear
Perfect.
me? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Walburga, first of all, for inviting me to be part of this jury, and congratulate you for the initiative. I think that, I mean, not only I subscribe 100% to what you just said, liaising the energy transition, the incredible unexpected growth on the renewables, in particular solar market, and the opportunities that this represents for equity, for balancing, having more equality and equal opportunities in the energy sector. But also, I mean, also what you said, that, I mean, we need all efforts, the efforts from all equal parties. So I think it's an opportunity to gain in terms of energy transition, but also in terms of a more equal and equitable energy sector. Well, I'm here today, of course, always fond of renewables, previously dealing with renewable energy unit. But I'm also here today on my capacity as a quality coordinator for DG NR in the Commission. And as a quality coordinator, and together with a number of colleagues in my DG, we have recently set up, actually was back in October during the Sustainable Energy Week, we set up the equality platform for the energy sector. The aim of this platform was exactly to bring together all energy stakeholders, those in their commitment towards equality, and to offer them a forum to discuss and exchange good practices for diverse and inclusive workplaces. So we have, through this platform, a threefold objective. First of all, so to create an accelerator for equality in the sector, and thereby bringing the stakeholders from all corners of the sector together. Of course, what gathers them is their commitment towards equality. Second important objective is that we are not just covering gender equality. We go beyond gender to cover also, I mean, all the senses of equality. I mean, it's sex, race, ethnic origin, disability, sexual orientation, religion, or belief. So we are very inclusive. And third, so we want to promote the creation and development of diverse and inclusive workplaces, and to function as a forum to discuss equality-related issues and to showcase an exchange on good practices. Actually, what we want there is to have a good mixture of organizations that have already acquired interesting experiences in mainstreaming equality in their organizations, in their working methods, in the products that they sell, and also have those that are willing to develop this trend of action in their organizations. So all that would also enable us to promote voluntary reporting and equality data. In terms of membership, I think it would be interesting to mention that we foresee, so this is open to all EU entities in the energy sector, and also international organizations, but having a seat in the European Union territory. So members or interested stakeholders are invited to sign up to a declaration, and in their application they propose concrete actions. So they present actions that they already undertaken or are undertaking, but also what they would like to eventually to promote. So we have two types of membership: members and signatories. Members are those who have already some experience in equality and submit their specific projects. Signatories are those who sign the declaration and commit to conduct activities to promote equality in the near future. So where we stand here, so we have already, I mean, we welcome already 14 members into the platform. We are still analyzing, checking the applications of several others, and we are planning our first meeting of the platform on the 7th of April, and this also with the person or the two persons who have supported the most this initiative, who are my commissioner, Kadi Simpson, but also my Director General, Dita Jurgensen. So there will be also both of them present, and eventually we'll also have the pleasure of welcoming to our meeting, our first meeting, the Commissioner of Equality. As you know, this commission, von der Leyen Commission, for the first time, has one commissioner in charge of equality. So, I mean, a pleasure to thank you very much, Walburga, for giving me the opportunity to promote this work. I think that those organizations involved in the awards, the three nominees and the others participating, may see an interest in this platform. Please don't hesitate to go back to me, to write me, or just to connect to our page in the European website, and you see there a link to the platform in case you want to receive more information, to sign up, or simply to get information. Thank you very much, Walburga.
Thanks a lot, Paula, and I think it's incredibly important to really have a platform for the whole sector in order to improve diversity. So congratulations really on that project. We're very happy to support further. Joanna, what was the impact actually of winning the award? That would be interesting for me, and probably also for the finalists and for others who might then file their application next year. So what was the impact actually, and how did you further develop in the last year?
Thanks, Walburga, and again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be back again this year. We were absolutely delighted. We would describe Finalists as we're in the business of people doing solar, so people is really at the heart of everything that we do. And you know, we believe very strongly that diversity is for everyone. Inclusion is, again, it's for everyone. So the team had lent into all the initiatives we shared last year about making our approach mainstream, making it business as usual. So culture, systems, processes, policies, everything had diversity at the core. And to win was a fantastic recognition for the team, of the work that the team had done, and that's everyone in the business had done to make sure that EDI was core to who we are. And of course, it gives us an external reference point to share that success and to share that commitment with all our stakeholders, whether it's potential candidates who are looking to join us, partners across the board. It's a really important issue that we're committed to and are striving to continually improve as well. So we've kept going. In the last year, we've kept adding to the cycle we talked about in terms of the attract and develop and retain initiative. Under attraction, we've expanded the channels that we use to reach people, so perhaps people we might not have reached before. We've added psychometric to our recruitment processes, again, to make sure that we are being objective, to make sure that there's no unconscious bias taking place. In terms of development, we've been working with our managers to make sure that they are supported as we come back into a hybrid working scenario. We're rolling out more EDI training. Last year I talked about my part say for everyone. This year we're looking at how we can supercharge the power of our difference, because as you mentioned, that difference is really key to the challenges that we're facing as an industry as we go forward. So we keep going forward.
It's really great to have companies like yours, Sonadix, who is leading the charge a little bit and providing some very best practices. I hope you're already signed up to Paula's platform. If not, I think the invitation also extends to you. Can I ask you both, maybe, you know, having been so much invested on this topic, do you think that diversity is becoming more important more generally in the sector? And probably, Paula, you have a very good overview on that as well. Or are we stagnating, you know, because other topics are getting higher on the agenda with the war in Ukraine and other stuff? So what do you think? Is it, is it improving?
If I may start, I mean, I would like to say that from our point of view, working in a European institution, we have seen a great change with the von der Leyen Commission. Okay, putting rightly from the beginning a very upfront equality values in her political program, and the fact that, as I mentioned before, having a commissioner whose mandate is to promote equality with a huge work program, I think it was really a good illustration of the president's commitment to this agenda. So from my perspective, I mean, I can only say that since 2 years and a half, we've just seen it going up very fast, okay, in our work. I can tell you that even when it comes to legislation, we have to look into impacts on gender mainstreaming, on equality and equal opportunities at the level of impact assessment. So we have to go through that screening, okay? And so from an institutional point of view, I mean, we are going up very fast. Okay, now, I mean, attentions are very much, and it was the perfect match between Green Deal, energy transition, and equality. As you explained at the beginning, Walburga, I mean, you need both, and you need both to go together. Okay, now today attentions are very much focusing on energy security, energy affordability, but then again, the energy transition is presented as the solution. Okay, this is the solution for short, medium, and long term. So I don't see a danger there that the equality agenda will go down of importance. I don't see that, but perhaps Johanna being in a corporate, so I mean, she perhaps she has a better feeling of how things are developing. I have to say that also on our end, we also have awards and that are organized in the Sustainable Energy Week, a series of with different categories, and there is one of which Women in Energy Awards, and we see, I mean, over the years an increasing interest in that as well. So perhaps it's an illustration of the importance that organizations are paying to this matter. Yeah.
Jana.
I think there is a risk that people might lose focus on the benefits and outcomes that diversity brings as we come out of the pandemic. But I don't believe we're stagnating. I think there's an unrelenting force that will drive us forwards, because diversity, that difference, helps us solve problems. It helps us succeed. You mentioned creativity, innovation, seeing more perspective, being able to spot risks at a greater distance. This is what diversity gives from a commercial perspective. It brings us success. So I think there will be an ongoing commitment. There has to be more progress. I think most people, we start our journeys from a gender perspective, and then Paula was referencing how it's more than gender. There's so many different perspectives, and as we look forward into 2023, we're talking about social mobility and just getting more difference in, because it will help us succeed. So I think anyone who misses the opportunity to embrace diversity is not really embracing future success as much as they could.
Thanks a lot, Joanna. I would, yeah, Paula.
Just add one thing, and here I would like to focus specifically on the gender, okay? I mean, even when we look at what's going on in our neighboring country, Ukraine, where we see the role of women. I mean, we're not talking about energy, but the important role of women, be those moving the way to protect the kids, right, and leaving everything behind, or be those who stay there and help in the background to prepare the defense. I think is notable. I mean, the role of women, I think, out of this awful invasion and war, just comes much stronger, independently of energy. I think it comes very, very strong. And on energy, we should profit from it as well.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think our thoughts are with these incredibly brave women that have to shoulder so much now in the Ukraine. I want to pick up on what you just said, Joanna, that is really a missing of opportunities if you're not implementing diversity in your company. Now, there's 3 companies which are not missing this opportunity, and I think everyone is now curious to be hearing more about the finalists, even though I would also at the same time like to continue chatting with you and exchanging with you, but we still have some time in between because you will be posing the questions afterwards, and we'll have time to exchange then with the finalists. So let me first of all congratulate all finalists. They all 3 of them are doing a fantastic job in terms of how to promote diversity. So we have the Rainer Lemoine Institute, Rated Power, and Lightsource BP. So you already made it to the finals, and this is great news already. The different submissions to this award have been screened on impact of measures, on creativity, originality, persistence also as well in implementing measures, because it needs a lot of persistence sometimes, and the degree of visibility, also in how far experience are shared and in how far the measures are replicable. So let's hear what makes the finalists' approach to diversity so special. We will have 3 rounds of 20 minutes in which each finalist presents herself, because we have only women here today. Sorry, it's not very diverse. And are getting then questions from the jury. So we'll have 7 to 10 minutes of a pitch, and then the jury members will ask you questions. So we're going to the first finalist, Rainer Lemoine Institute, and we have Diplom Ingenieur, I don't know how to translate it into English, Katrin Goldamer, Managing Director of the Rainer Lemoine Institute. Great to have an engineer here, a female engineer. Yeah, and I would just say, Katrin, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Walburga. That's correct. I'm an electrical engineer, and I am the managing director of Rli. Rli is the Rainer Lemoine Institute, and we're an engineering and institute in Germany. All we do is renewable energy, so we do renewables in electricity, but also in the other sectors. And I've prepared a few slides to show you what Rli is all about. And my slides will start with Rainer himself. So this is Rainer Lemoine. You might not have heard of him, but he was, as you can see, he was a bit of a hippie. He was also an engineer, but also he was an entrepreneur. And you can see him here in many, both different stages of his life. And the companies that he founded were the 2 very large German solar companies in the 90s, and their names were Solon and Q-Cells. So this is Rainer. And unfortunately, Rainer died very young. But what his life was about was that he really wanted a better world. So engineering for him was a way to get there. So he was very proficient in electronics. So from early on, he decided to work on wind turbines and providing electronics for wind turbines. And what I know from him, I've never met him, but what I know is that he wanted a better world in so many different aspects. So it wasn't only about energy, I think. So for him, it was really about, a better society. And when you look at this slide, you can see him working with what he called an engineering collective at the time. So he didn't want to work, in a commercial way. It was a collective with his friends. They shared their living quarters, and they shared the income on an equal basis. So I think all of these things, he really thought them through. But what I think he didn't really consider at the time was that diversity was also a thing that you could aspire, right? Because when I look at the work that he did, all of his friends were male engineers. I'm pretty sure that many of them had a wife and kids, and I'm pretty sure they didn't see them very much. And when you look at the Rainer Lemoine Institute today, I'm very proud to say that we've taken his idea of a better world, but we've really transformed it into, renewable energy is one way, but also, you could just be a company or an institute where it's actually very fun to work there, and the work culture is great, and we can achieve this through diversity. It's a goal, but it's also a means of getting there. So what we are today is a nonprofit, and we both do research, but we also do a lot of consulting in renewable energy, and we do it in Germany, but also within the European Union, but also abroad. We have a few developmental cooperation projects as well. And look at us today. So this is our management team. It's 60% women, and we're all engineers. So RLI is 100% engineering. So we're either mechanical, electrical, computer scientists, energy engineers. And I'm really, really proud to show you this, this set of people, because I work with them every day. I like them very much, but also, I mean, look at them, right? They're really cool people. And I just need to say this again. This is a STEM institute. And this is in Germany. I don't know if you've probably been to Germany. Engineering in Germany is still very, you know, gender. There is a gender skewed ratio of people in engineering in Germany, very unfortunately. And let's have a look at the rest of our team. So we're around 100 people from all ages, from all countries, from all ethnic backgrounds and languages. And all of them are engineers in one way or the other. And the ratio is about 45% women in total. And it's, as I said, 60% in our management team. And just to give you one number for comparison, you might have heard of the Fraunhofer Institutes. They're a big chain of engineering research institutes in Germany. Can you guess what their number of women in leadership positions is? It's below 10%. Okay, so this is the reality in Germany we're working. So it's 8% for Fraunhofer and it's 60% at RLI. Well, what is different at RLI? I actually just published an article in a German newspaper for the International Women's Day. And I basically argue that we just simply treat everyone like a human being. That's the reason why women and men like to work at RLI. So we don't tolerate sexism. We don't consider women the emotional labor takers of the organization, you know, because why would we, right? We're all engineers. We like to do projects. We're not here for emotional labor. We encourage everyone to go home, take care of their kids. This could be a father or a mother. We use gender inclusive language. We basically do things that you might not notice when you're a man that you're really privileged in the workplace, but we try to extend this privilege to everyone who works at RLI. It's really that simple. So if, you know, I see in a situation that this behavior isn't really what I thought it could be. This could be, I don't know, a barbecue where I see, you know, only the men at the barbecue and women cutting the vegetables. Someone at RLI will go there and be like, this is weird. Why am I not helping you with the vegetables? This is the work culture that we have at RLI. And why do we do this? Well, I think it all goes back to the fact that we have values. So we're engineers and we work in renewables, but when you sit down with people, you find out that you have a set of common values. And what we did was we just wrote them down and we published them, and we call it the Rli Charter. And the way that we came up with this was that I basically asked people to tell me some of their biggest stories that they connect with RLI. And then it turned out that you could really summarize them in 5 or 6 or 7 very distinct feelings and values that we all share. And we wrote them down in the charter. And you can have a look at it. You can look it up. It's also something that I absolutely encourage everyone else to either do or copy, because it really, really helps. It can help you in recruiting, but it can also help you in setting your own goals again and again internally. So what we did was basically, we went to a retreat in 2019. It was time to go on a retreat anyway. And this is actually in one of these groups. We talked about RLI. What are the kinds of stories that you tell your friends about RLI? And we found out some of our main values that we all share. And then we put it in a document. Everyone could either comment or add something. And from this document, we finalized the charter that we then put on the webpage. And as I said, you're all free to look it up. I've actually also given talks about it before, just because I found it a very helpful experience for RLI. So the values were already there, but it was a really fun experience to write them up. So what does it say? Well, it says a few things about, you know, the mission that was probably already there. Our goal is 100% renewable energy, and we really have a good reason to do that. And we also find that renewable energy is a human right. We're using methods that go far beyond what science sometimes does. We're really enthusiastic about anything open, which sometimes is a clash with the consulting that we do, but we still find it very important and valuable. We value partnership. I'm going to say a little bit more about this later. And then come a few things that really describe the work culture at RLI. So people come first. Racism and sexism is a no. And an inclusive work culture is really what we hope to achieve. And RLI has to be a place where we can rely on each other. So it really shouldn't happen that you find out a colleague is working against you or is stealing your time, basically. All of these things that can happen in a work environment. And let me just show you a few things that will hopefully tell you how diversity for us is not only about, genders, or even the idea that there is something like binary genders. So we have a group at RLI. We're very bottom up. So we have a group at RLI that founded on the idea of discussing our developmental cooperation, the fact that we might not be on par with our partners there, or in some of these situations we should be more self-aware. And this group has contributed to the charter with this article, basically saying that it is hard to work on eye level, especially when we're aware of the past and the history of cooperation with different countries. And we're really hoping to be better partners for people in international projects than some of the projects that we've seen. And we also try to impose this on all our partners as well. So we sometimes work with international banks or developmental cooperations where we have the feeling that there is still a way to go in these international projects. So then my colleagues will actually take out this charter and be like, you know what, we actually have this charter, so I'm not sure, about our projects. Can we check the project against the charter that we have? Because it's really important for us to work within these values. And we also have a meeting that I call the Women's Breakfast Club. I basically just invite all women at RLI to meet with me a few times a year, just to hang out and have breakfast. And in this group, we found some of the things out that still women in our sector have to experience on a day-to-day basis. Like they will tell you things you wouldn't even believe. I mean, I studied electrical engineering in the 90s. They didn't have a bathroom where I studied because women didn't study electrical engineering at the time. That is pretty crazy, right? But still, similar things happen to you today when you go with a colleague to a meeting and they treat you like the assistant or the girlfriend and all of these things. So I collected this information, these pieces of information, and I hope that the Article 8 really represents what we think about sexism. And
just let you know that you're at almost 10 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah, great, thank you. It's 1 more minute. And then one thing that I wasn't so aware of before, I mean, I think I noticed this because I've worked in many companies, but also other academic institutions. But one thing that is really special about RLI is that we really try to defy the bad academic and consulting work culture that is out there. So in academia, sometimes you work against your best colleague or, your next door colleague just because it's academic, right? So, who publishes the paper first? And we really try not to do this. What you could also say is that in our charter, it basically says, please do not be an asshole. That's the work culture that we really hope to achieve. All right. So these are some of our projects. Solar is really big at RLI. We love it. We do it all over the place. And I hope we do it in an equal way and a way that respects other people's values too. So I really appreciate your vote if you'd like to vote for me, just because, as I told you, we're the only energy research institute in all of Germany that has really achieved gender parity. And yes, it was hard, right? So it would be great that, to have this acknowledged. But also, we do care about diversity. We really care about a good work culture. It was a long way getting there. I've been with the Institute for 6 years, and it's taken me 6 years to get to what I could tell you today. And also, keep in mind that we're a nonprofit, so we really rely on these honorary mentions. I don't have, I don't have a budget for PR. right? So as a nonprofit, it would just be great to be mentioned or get more attention this way, because there really isn't a way for me to attend all the conferences and go on, I don't know, Google Ads or something. And then generally, I think helping Rli will help everyone achieve this goal, right? So in the end, we're still about 100% renewable energy, and this would be really great for the solar sector as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Katrin. Very, very impressive. And on this 100% renewables, we very much agree with as Solar Power Europe. We're pushing very much in this direction. Very nice to see, you know, how your team is put together in a very diverse way, which is showing that the charter and everything you're doing really has very concrete effects. Very impressive. But I am not the one who is posing the questions. I would hand over to Joanna and Paula. Who wants to go first?
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Catherine. The passion and enthusiasm just shines through. Obviously, you are a beacon in that. The statistic, the percentage of women on your senior leadership team is very impressive. And I wondered whether you would share more about how people advance through the organisation, whether there's any advocacy or sponsorship that happens to help with people's career development as well.
All right. Well, it would be so much better to answer this question for like a bigger company. You know what? The Rli that I started with 6 years ago was 35 people. So in a way, we were all, you know, we all knew each other. We were friends, and there wasn't really a career development that you could speak of. And now what we've done is we've really turned this around. So we didn't even have an HR person at the time, to be honest. And now what we do have is we have a communications expert, we have a PR, an HR expert, we have a set of actions and interventions that we can offer to people, like coaching and all these other things if they want to advance in the corporation. But you know what? It's still probably not as fixed and professional as in many other organizations, I have to admit. So for example, when you look at this, when you look at the set of people that I've presented as my management team, many of them have been with Rli for a long time. And then because the institute was growing, we were looking at, you know, where are the talented people that we'd like to go this journey with, who would like to be more engaged in a senior position. So it's really, when you talk about how, you know, you have set up something for unconscious bias and you have all these great programs, I have to tell you that this isn't really what we have. What we do though is we've talked about unconscious bias. We've all, you know, we talked about all these things, but in a more, let's say, democratic way. So everyone is still involved in many things at Rli. A lot of the stuff that we're doing is still connected to me too. And I think for the next 6 years, this is something that I need to work on, right? Because I cannot be taking, you know, part in all of these executive decisions anymore. I cannot be taking part in all of these personnel decisions anymore. But it's just been, yeah, one of the things that I put my heart in over the last 6 years, and I think this is why things were not as professional as they could have been.
Thank you very much, Katrin. Yeah. Paula. Sorry, Anna. You wanted to add something?
No, I was going to say I read your gender equality plan, and you could take out gender and just put people in the document. So I wouldn't judge yourself on being professional or not. I think it's the outcomes that you've achieved that speak for themselves.
Yes, thank you. I think that's, yeah. You're right. The outcome, it's more about the outcome at Rli, I think.
Paula, Any question to Katrin?
Valburga, I have a question to you, Valburga. I mean, I'll have two main questions I'd like to ask Katrin. Shall I just ask one now and then we have a second round, or how does it work?
Maybe you just ask one now, because we're running a little bit over time, I have to say. So that might be the last question then to Katrin.
The one and last. Okay, so then I have to profit which one. First of all, Katrin, thank you very much for your presentation. We see that there is a lot of you in the project that you described, and I'd like to congratulate you for that. My question to you, if I can only ask one question, is the following. How difficult do you think this project or this initiative is to replicate, to be replicated by other organizations? And what would you tell them, those that could be interested in replicating your experience? What could you tell them? I mean, where to start? How difficult it is to replicate? What could be your best advice to those willing to do so? And would you use the award in case you get it, and how for that?
Yes, thank you. So what I found out was that it sometimes makes sense to break this down into smaller groups, right? So for example, when you ask into your organization, which one of you would be interested in working on developmental cooperation values, and which one of you is more interested in working on how to collaborate within the Institute, you're going to find several groups of people who would be interested in doing this bottom up. And when you scrape this all together, you're probably halfway there, right? And this is something that we also did. So in the beginning, we were like, wow, we have like 500 values. It's impossible to put this together. But then it turns out that you can give this like a little spark to a group of people, and then a little spark of this to another one, and they will come up with something that is probably relatable for everyone else as well. They just maybe didn't have as much experience in the field, or they couldn't phrase it in the same way. So this is what I definitely recommend other organizations would do. And then generally, I mean, asking people about their experiences and stories with the company, that is one of the best ways to engage your staff in general, right? So I really hope that an organization that hasn't really started doing this yet has it on their agenda for some time in the future, just because it will tell you so much about the values that you represent, and maybe even the mission that you thought was in your head, but you didn't put it out there. And this award will be great because it will help us tell everyone how this was one of the steps that we took. And people can always say there was some of this was already there, but I have to tell you it wasn't. We were an engineering place in the beginning, but now we stand for so much more. And it would be great to be available also as a role model in standing for all of these things at the same time, just as you were phrasing this as solar diversity, right? So we still stand for solar, but also for diversity. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Unmuting. Thanks a lot. I think we could go on for quite some time. Paula still has a couple of questions, but I'm afraid we need to stop here because we still have two other finalists we want to hear. Thanks a lot, Katrin, for joining us. I know that you have some parental responsibilities to take on now. I hope we'll see each other in Brussels next week on the 31st of March, when we will have our Solar Power Summit and when the voting will also take place. So the next one I would like to invite to join us is Yamali Rodriguez. She's responsible for operations and for ESG at Rated Power.
Yes.
And I would just say the floor is yours, Yama.
Hello, thank you for choosing us as finalists, and congratulations on the initiative. Also, thanks, Catherine, for that was really inspiring. And don't mind the time. I think I will keep it shorter so we could even up between the two of us. Okay, let's start. So, as I said, thank you for nominating us. First, I would like to provide a little context about who we are before talking about our initiatives. We are Rated Power. We are a cloud-based, user-friendly solution determined to accelerate transition to renewable energy as the main source of energy worldwide. This is a little bit about our values. I was the 13th member 2 years ago to join the team. Since then, I've onboarded 50 people and explained these values each time. We care about nature. We are committed to be a zero-emission company and provide tools to mitigate pollution to our clients. Some other values are self-explanatory, but the key to success is the last two. Be a team player, ask for help, help others, and listen to others. Mixing this with inclusive and diverse thinking creates a healthy and thriving work environment. Also, one of our values, which is not here, it's in the information we sent before, it's accountability. So all of this combined is a very good formula, I might say. Now let's dive a little bit deeper on what our team is about. So according to Deloitte Insights, the percentage of women representation in tech industry is 25%. According to the data that you provide, is 32%. Rated power percentage is 46.7%. We have made it our mission to create a diverse workforce. It is in our company DNA and core values. Our founder and managing partner right now, CEO, is Andrea Barber. She is also the leading face of Rated Power. And out of 11 managing positions, 8 are led by women. I remember Catherine also talking about big board of women. We make a point to give voice and value to all of our employees and to empower our talent by giving them the confidence and tools necessary to succeed. Okay. Another initiative that has been proven to be beneficial to our team and to promote diversity is the office attendance policy. We have both a hybrid working model with a volunteer attendance to the office and a full remote. We count with a 100% digital and paperless system where we manage everything through our project management app, and all of our work is synced and automatically uploaded in the cloud. We have a Slack bot that matches every member of our team every 2 weeks with another member to have a 30-minute chat, opening a dialogue space for everyone to know a bit about each other outside of work. This place, we call it coffee buddies, and we can talk to each other and learn more about each other, which is what we're kind of here for, the diverse matter of the thing. So let's continue with the ESG to talk more about our commitment. We know diversity is much more than gender. Across the 22 different nationalities that embody our company, we learn from each other and respect and honor our differences on a daily basis. We make an effort to hire the best talent, no matter in the world the right candidate is. We plan ahead and provide assistance for visas and work permits. Since the very beginning, Rated Power has been an international company. Our corporate language is English, so we have an in-house English coach to support our employees in becoming more fluent and communicate better with each other. Our people and culture team has defined a personalized career plan for each of us based on equity and talent. We've also created spaces to discuss our professional development, work satisfaction, and concerns with our managers twice a month. So how do we put all of this into action? Let's go to more concrete actions. For example, we recently invited Shiva Rufev, a TEDx speaker specializing in cultural intelligence, leadership, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is DEI, to hold a gender experience workshop with our team. We shared great knowledge and insights on the subject while training our empathy skills through a series of exercises. It was a great experience. I got so much from it because I was able to express myself in a safe space with all of my colleagues. And continuing, for example, with the subject of recruiting and intersectionality and the challenges we have encountered after the pandemic, many pivoted into the tech industry, and it has become one of the most stable source of employment. Because of this, we are drafting an alliance with a place called Adalab, a women-only bootcamp addressed to women developers, because I think that's where the gap, if you're not cautious and don't put a lot of effort in it, could could begin. As she said, all of them are engineers. They're also back to Catherine. We also signed up with Yes We Trans program, which provides job placement for trans people. It's an initiative created by the LGBTQ Federation state-wise here in Spain. So talking about why Rated Power, right? Rated Power is committed and aligned with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. We focus on mental health and work-life balance, have constant training and development of new skills and competencies, and we act to have a gender diverse workforce with almost 50% female representation. This creates equal opportunities and offers the same benefits for all, regardless of gender, nationality, or position. In addition to provide benefits and health work environment. Also, the company itself is a climate warrior. We plan volunteer actions collecting waste from beaches, offsetting our CO2 footprint, and partner with NGOs also dedicated to fight against climate change, such as Elemental Accelerator in the United States. Over the last 2 years, I have had the pleasure of getting to experience and be part of this exciting and inclusive project. I've seen it grow, succeed, and continue to witness the scale-up process. For the first time in my professional career, I can proudly say that my job has an impact. I feel heard, I feel part of a team, I feel understood, recognized, and celebrated. Rated Power represents the whole STEM sector, and winning the European Solar Diversity Champion Award would mean helping promote diversity in all of its sections. Other than that, I may say that this is also important. We have more than 20 different positions open, and I think this would be great to encourage people to join our team as well. So as an end, a diverse workforce is a catalyst for growth. Thank you for your time, and I'll be hearing your questions.
Thanks a lot, Yama. And for sure, I will also check out Shiva Rufi. You inspired me to do something similar with my team. Thanks very much for the very interesting presentation. Over to the jury again. Who wants to start this time? Paula, maybe you, because I cut you short in the last round.
No, it's fine. Thank you very much, Yamali. Extremely interesting, and I also enjoyed a lot the way you presented. I'd like to ask you one question, but combining two, if I may.
Okay.
First of all, what could you tell us? I mean, if one would ask concrete impacts of your initiative, what could you say? 3 concrete impacts. What you feel are really the outcomes of this. And linked to that, what are you doing to convince others to follow your path, to follow your example? Are you doing something, or do you intend to do something in that regard to disseminate and convince others?
Okay, great. So in the matter of concrete impact, I think we see it in our team. We are, I think we, in the employee satisfaction and the rate of people staying in Rated Power rather than, I don't know, if we live in. I think we see an impact there. We have a very healthy work environment. Our founder always says, I want to build a place that people are excited to come to. They're Sunday night, they're like, tomorrow work. And we have a great environment in the office. In this matter, we celebrate everything. And this has translate into having our OKRs and goals, KPIs met, having the team very engaged, even working remotely. As you know, the pandemic has changed a lot the way we do things, and it hasn't had a big impact on our team as motivation and any of that. I was very involved in this, so I think that's where I see the concrete impact of all of the actions we've taken, and of course learning about everything. Sometimes we have like someone is like, oh, I brought something from a travel, from a trip, and we get to taste everything from every part of the world. We're 22 different nationalities, so that you're in the office and someone's speaking Portuguese, the other ones are speaking French, so you listen to all of these languages at the same time. And also everything, all of our communications, as I said, our corporate language is English because it's the one we all speak. So if anyone doesn't speak Spanish or French or wherever in a room that we're sitting in, we all, of course, always go to the common language to keep everyone involved. And about convincing others, I think social media, LinkedIn, and all of the great work that our marketing team is doing, it helps us. And as I said, I have 20 different positions open right now, so I just want a lot of visibility for people to join our team.
Very much.
Thanks a lot. Over to you, Ioana.
Yamali, congratulations on onboarding 50 people in the last couple of years. That's quite a task, and obviously you've done it successfully to keep your culture so strong. And good luck with the next 20. I think I had two questions, perhaps similar to Paula's. One was the values of thinking outside the box and pushing boundaries. And I wondered whether there was an example of how the diversity in the team had made a concrete action in terms of whether it was to your product design that had delivered something in terms of thinking outside the box. And then the other question was around the challenge of having that remote and in the office culture. You gave us some great examples of the Slack channels and keeping people together, eating together. I wondered if there was anything else that you could say about how you're keeping the culture strong in that hybrid way so that anyone remote is not left out.
Left. Okay, so in thinking outside of the box, we have an open doors and ears. Everyone, and we always, this is said all the time. So this also, I think it combines the two answers. In order to have a strong culture, you have to repeat the culture a lot because there's new members all the time, and you just have to be consistent, right? So thinking outside of the box, I say this in the onboarding, as I said, and every single time I get to say it, bring any idea, no matter how crazy it is, bring your idea. For example, right now we just did like 10 employees started that sustainability committee inside Rated Power to like plant trees, and we're looking at which ways we can do, for example, I don't remember the name right now, where it's like a marathon, but it's for developers. How does it has a name? I swear. So
Hackathon.
Hackathon, yeah.
Hackathon. Yeah.
To solve a sustainability problem, and that is just things that we done on our own. So think outside of the box. We also have something that is recommend any book. Recommend the book, we'll get it for you, and then we can share it with all of the team about the knowledge of that book. And in terms of I don't know, facilities that we could give different, there's also different beliefs, different religions, etc. So well, I don't want to go into very concrete things, but for example, well, it's Jewish funerals last more days, right? So we are very empathetic in that case. And if someone has this kind of things, the law could say 2 days, but if he's 6, if he's 7, if he's 9, we also take that into consideration. It's everything very very sensitive, I guess, but it was the first thing that came to my mind. So
thank you. Thanks a lot. I think we have still time for one more question if you have Juan, Paula, or Joanna? Oh,
I think honestly, the answers to my question and to Johanna, at least you covered what I wanted to hear from you. Perhaps just one question. Did you face any internal resistance somehow, and how did you overcome this?
Internal resistance, could you give me an example? I don't think I follow.
Internal resistance, I mean by that, people who are not really convinced of the worthiness of pursuing this and kind of not helping, not collaborating, not embracing these values and principles and the actions you were proposing.
Okay.
Did you have that? Yeah. Did you have to face that? And in that case, what did you do?
I think we clear that that part, and we do have met things that are not part of our cultural fit or the way we want to operate. And I think we tackle that first. And we have what we have had, and what is candidates that want to work within our company, and they have all of the technical skills, but they don't have the cultural fit. So we do all of the interviews. Imagine technical interview, all of the requirements for the job interview, and last we have a cultural fit. And if that doesn't pass, it doesn't matter, all of the other things. So that's a way to keep that too. But it has been a challenge, because sometimes we take a lot of time into a candidate, and then at the end it's like, I guess not. So we take a good care and protect our culture, and everyone should be embracing the same values.
I think especially the last one is very impressive, knowing that the job market is very tight, that you still exclude, people who would fit because they don't fit the culture. I find that particularly impressive. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Yama. Thanks for joining us. I will now invite the third and last finalists from Lightsource BP, Lisa Gray. Lisa is Global Head of Communications of Lightsource BP. Thanks very much for joining us, and we're very curious, as we've been for the others, to learn more about what Lightsource BP is doing on diversity. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Wilberger. Can you hear me all right? Great, amazing. So hello, everyone. As Wilberger said, I'm Lisa Gray, Head of Global Communications for Lightsource BP. I'm originally from Malaysia, of Indian origin, and I've lived in the UK for about 20 years and worked for Lightsource BP for 11 years. So I joined the company in week 3 when there were only 12 employees. And now we are 700 and active across 17 countries. I'm just going to try and move the slides. It's not working, sorry.
Can someone from my team help moving slides, please? Here we go.
Amazing, thank you. So I'm very excited to be here to present on behalf of our team, the We Are Lightsource BP initiative. As I explained earlier, not too long ago, Lightsource was just a startup of 12 people. The very interesting point though, even though we were 12 people, we were 7 different nationalities, and our age range was between 21 to 50 years old. So foundationally, we were quite a diverse company, even back then when we were starting up. And we recognize that this diversity has actually been a key contributor towards our success over the years. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So again, as I mentioned before, we were a startup. We were primarily based in the UK for a long time, for at least 5 years. And at that time, as a startup, we didn't have an HR team per se, and everybody mucked in. And because we were a very quite a small team, I think you automatically assume the culture and everybody knows everybody, and you're very well connected, and everybody's aligned to a purpose. But when you grow rapidly, and when you grow so quickly, and you internationalize, and you have the added layer of a global pandemic over everything else that you're doing, a concrete people strategy really comes into focus. And we needed to grow up as a company, and we recognized that what we had at that time was probably okay for a small business, but not for a global industry layer leader and the company that we were growing into. So we just we started with a blank piece of paper, and we asked ourselves. It was a group company-wide initiative between communications, HR, and lots of stakeholders. And we said, what do we actually want to achieve here with our people strategy? What does good look like? And we had various debates. We're talking about programs, work streams, DE&I frameworks, and eventually we landed. It was actually about the employee, because it's the employee that drives our success ultimately. Without our employees, we are nothing. And our group CEO, Nick Boyle, constantly echoes this point. And we landed with this very simple, I would say, mission statement that actually informs a lot of what we do today, which is we want to have an employee that is engaged, empowered, and motivated to change the world. And the reason why we've put in such powerful language is going back to what we do, we are a solar developer, operator and owner, and investor. And we are changing the world. We are contributing towards the energy transition, and our employees are very passionate about what we do and about sustainability. And that is why we have, a very powerful statement. And that is where we started, and we built everything around that. Can I have the next slide, please? So after a month of more intense discussions around the topic, we arrived at who our employees are as individuals is what drives the success of our business. And and that is all mannerisms of diversity, sexual orientation, gender, race, religion, ethnicity. And even as when we were a small business, about 100 people, we already had 34 different nationalities. I remember people saying going to the kitchen was like being in a United Nations meeting, which was quite funny. And these are some examples of how we are showcasing our beliefs. So on our website, on the left-hand side of the slide, this is our senior management team. You're not going to see people in suits and corporate profiles. That is our group CEO, Nick Boyle, having his face painted because he likes festivals. Our European CEO, Karine, loves travel, and she's in the middle. So what you see woven into everything that we do is the individuality of our people, and that's what we recognize to be the foundation of our people strategy. And on the right-hand side is just a picture library on our career site, introducing employees to future employees. Can I have the next slide, please? So how did we embed? We created all these components as part of the We Are Lightsource BP initiative. We had to start with a purpose. We actually didn't have a purpose at that time. So we had a lot of discussions around our purpose, and we landed at solar power for our world. You'll notice we thought a lot about how things look and the language we use, because we want to be inclusive. We want to feel our employees to feel part of what we're doing, and not just this is an initiative that is being pushed out from part of the organization. And then we have our core values. So within our core values, we have safety, we have integrity, we have respect, sustainability, and drive. I've highlighted all the more personal words in pink, so they stand out. And then we have our behaviors. So this is really the anchor of our people strategy. Be you. That's the first point. So we are saying to employees that we accept you as who you are within the organization. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to talk a certain way. We accept you. Be responsible, be recognized, and be inspired. We also created vibes. Again, sort of talking about language. We debated about how we call our culture. Everybody talked about Lightsource BP's culture, but nobody could put it into words. And we talked a lot about it. And we decided to actually not call our culture, but call our culture our vibe. And that is the language that we use, because we don't want to impose a way of being onto someone, but we want someone to understand the environment that they're coming into. And from our vibe, we have created Vibes, which is a governance committee around our culture. Vibes stands for volunteering, inclusivity, belonging, equity, and social. And we feel these are the key components that actually make up Lightsource BP's culture. And finally, obviously, we need execution, we need a framework, we need goals, and we then developed our diversity, equity, and inclusion policy and framework. So we did all the work first before actually creating the DE&I policy and framework. Can I have the next slide, please? So again, this is just recapping from what I said earlier. We had the key objectives to create purpose and meaning. How do we articulate our culture? It needs to be intuitive to company goals, so everyone is pushing the same direction. Simple to understand. We researched so many DE&I strategies and frameworks. They were 20 pages, 50 pages, legalized documents that were quite scary, actually. So we wanted to make sure that our strategy was simple and people could understand it. And then obviously metrics and goals. We did it from scratch, we did it internally, and we did it all in 6 months. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is a little bit more insight about our vibe. So the graphic is created to encompass who we are, our core values, our behaviors, the initiatives around vibes, and the operating system of Lightsource BP. And again, a little bit more wording to describe our vibe and who we are as an agile and diverse company driven by an entrepreneurial spirit, encouraging individuality and creative thinking to drive our success and innovation. Can I have the next slide, please? Just a little bit more about our behaviors. So again, this is everywhere in our communication. We want people to feel valued as an individual and how they can contribute to our purpose and our goals. Can I have the next slide, please? And an example of how we're walking the talk. Metrics, governance, and goals. So this is a bit more behind the scenes on how it all pulls together. So we have a sustainability strategy. Within the sustainability strategy, there is a people strategy. So on the left-hand side is just the org structure and reporting framework, the working groups of sustainability, which include Vibes, report into steering committee, reporting into our COO and Davis into the executive. Oops. Hi, Warburger. Hi.
Just telling you that you're nearing the 10 minutes.
Yeah, no worries. Almost done. And then a bit more about how Vibes is governed. So again, there's executive sponsorship and representation across the business, and then the implementation of our DE&I framework. Can I have the next slide, please? And finally, some examples in practice. So we're investing 21,000 a year into Culture Amp, which is a pulse survey to ensure we get a regular check-in with the organization. We're hosting meaningful workshops across the globe to talk about, to have meaningful conversations, equitable events. You know, we're hybrid, we're remote. How do we bring people together? Through our DE&I framework, we're improving the way we hire and putting a lot of focus around diversity and hiring. We've got 500 roles to recruit this year. It's a big, big task. And mindfulness and well-being is another key task, and we've currently got yoga classes for all as well running through the organization. Next slide. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Also very impressive vibes. That's very much sticking. So I would like to ask the jury to fire the questions. Joanna, would you want to start? You're mute.
Thanks, Lisa. That's brilliant. A lot of parallels with Benedict's journey. So I hear you. I really hear you, and congratulations on what you've managed to achieve. I'm interested in the metrics and goals. I see Culture AMP as a means of gathering some. You mentioned various gender and other underrepresented characteristics, etc. Are you measuring across all of them? How do the goals manifest themselves?
Yeah, sure. So what we can legally measure in each country differs. So which is quite a challenge. So what we're set on is measuring the what is universally applicable. So we have gender, and we have protected classes as well, and a few other things. 2 years ago we didn't have any data, and now we do. And so the rationalization between vibes and the governance and the DE&I framework is to make sure we take that data, we look at it, and we improve on it going forward. Sorry, Siri is talking back to me.
Thanks a lot. Paula.
Yeah, may I? Thank you very much, Lisa. Impressive. Congratulations, really, for what you've been putting together. A very comprehensive and impressive program, and in such a short time. I would have 2 questions for you. First of all, I mean, it's a very comprehensive program that you described to us. Could you, I mean, identify 1 or 2 actions that you consider the most impactful, that of all the things that you have been doing and that you launched, what you could say, I mean, 1 or 2 actions that for you really are bringing most fruits? And the second question is in relation to the application that you have made. There was one sentence that intrigued me, where it says that it gave us the impression, you were saying that for you, for Lighthouse BP, it was what you do would be difficult to replicate. If you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Cool. So I'll talk about the actions first. So I think, we've recently been through a global pandemic, and one of the things that is really becoming key to us, especially since we are growing so fast, is making sure people are seen and heard. That is the big thing. And not everyone's in the office anymore, so we have a big focus on events and how we create equitable events. You can't just take everybody down to the pub now and have a few drinks. So we're really investing in bringing people together and being able to create a platform of interaction, hybrid. For example, I think we had some unconscious bias training recently. We're having lots of different kinds of ways people can interact remotely and just be able to connect. That's one of the big things, and really driving our event strategy and being very strategic with that. And then in terms of replicating, I think I know the sentence because I wrote it. So what we've done is really said, if we say the individuality of people really mean the most to us, we are trying to walk the talk and demonstrating that. So organizations, I don't necessarily say it'll be hard, but it can be a culture change, or it can be quite a different change to actually fully integrate that concept within the organization, because it's in everything we do, from the way we communicate to our website right through to the way managers have one-to-ones with their team. And it's that embedding that can be a challenge, but again, if an organization is focused on doing it, then it will be done.
I think we still have time for 1 or 2 questions, if you still want to ask Lisa something.
Lisa, I've read the various documents on the website, and one of the statements is that you will hold yourselves accountable to your EDI commitments. Tell me how you hold each other accountable.
So I guess it's in the governance framework. So VIBES is the governance committee that is representatives of VIBES come from all our territories, and VIBES is responsible for executing the DE&I framework and reports directly into the sustainability strategy and into the board. So we have very clear goals on what we would like to achieve in the next year and the next 2 years. And so VIBES is responsible for ensuring that these goals are met across the organization and then reporting it into the board.
And are those goals organization-wide, or are they targeted to particular functional areas or particular countries?
It's organizational wide. Yeah. And that's because that's why we've got the wide representation on VIBES.
Paula, one last question.
Lisa, what are you going to do next?
Okay, so Culture AMP is the big one, because that will give us real-time information and pulse checking across the organization, running that alongside the DE&I framework and goals to make sure that we're in line with what the organization wants and what our people want, and also being able to address areas of concern which may come up through Culture AMP. So I think through that implementation, it's going to make us more effective in executing our strategy. A really exciting time.
Thanks a lot, Lisa, for joining us. Maybe I should say as a closing that we might also see our diversity in the board of Solar Power Europe improved in a couple of days. We'll see. The members have to vote. But your female CEO of Europe will be running for the board seat, so maybe Karin will also reinforce diversity on our board anytime soon. We'll see. Thanks to all the finalists for joining. I should maybe say a couple of words on the next steps, and then I still have one last question to you, Paula and Joanna. The next step is that we will ask our guests joining the Solar Power Summit on the 31st of March to vote for the winner among the 3 finalists which we've had and which have done the pitch just right now. The award ceremony will then take place at the end of the day. That will be on the 31st of March again, from 5:30 to 6. We also have 2 other awards where we'll combine the award ceremonies. So an outreach to all of you joining us today, but also to those who will be watching this video, because we will put it on the web, on YouTube and other channels. Also to those, please join us next week at our Solar Power Summit and vote for your preferred winner. So we have just a couple of minutes left, and I would still like to use the time, as we have 2 experts here, to have a very last question to both of you, because you have all that experience in diversity. You've also heard the experience which was shared with us today by the finalists. What are the key elements from your perspective maybe 2 or 3 key elements which are really the most important ones to make diversity mainstream in the end. Paula, can I ask you first?
I mean, what another way of putting it, what struck me with the presentations today, which were impressive and added a lot to the application, I have to say, is really, I think that the key of success here is to listen to the employees and have them on board from day one. This is what I find it is the key of success, to have them on board, to listen and to tailor a program, taking into account what you heard from them. I think that it's important. The ownership is really key. I mean, a top-down approach doesn't work. So this is what one of the key things. I mean, retain many more, but one of the key things that I retain here is really almost the bottom-up approach, which is essential to get there, I think. But again, I mean, impressive examples, impressive programs. I mean, I really hope that you all get into our platform of equality in the energy sector from the European Commission, because you have very good stories, very good examples to promote and to convince others to do it. And we need more of this in the sector. Yeah.
Thanks, Paula. Joanna.
Again, inspirational. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to have this special hour. We've heard about the importance of culture and engagement in each of those 3 examples, and the work that's been done to invite people in, the capabilities of what people bring, their skill sets and knowledge, but that's as important as their behaviours, and that invitation for everyone to be fully involved and to bring their full selves. That's inspirational. So that difference is unlocked when that environment is created, and I think we've seen 3 great examples here.
Thanks very much. We're landing just right on time. So maybe last time, a reminder that the voting will take place at the Solar Power Summit on the 31st of March. Please join us in Brussels to vote for your favorite. But in any way, I would say that all 3 finalists already won, because they're a great example of diversity. And we will in any way make sure that all of those 3 companies will be put very much in the spotlight in the next couple of months in order to inspire others. Thanks very much to you, Paula and Joanna, for joining. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and hope to see you next week in Brussels at the Solar Power Summit. Thank you. Bye-bye.